Hello, I want to show you a new technique that I've been working on and using, and I thought I'd better get out there and share it with you guys so that you can use it, because our design team member, Brenda, saw it and she's just in love with it, so I wanted to show you. Now, I can't show you actually where I've been using it. I can show you a little bit because this is a special project. So you're going to see these score lines. Okay, this is a special project that I'm actually doing for our retreat in Ohio come August. And we're also teaching this technique on the Hinge for you if you are at the retreat. But I wanted to share it right now with you so that you can be using it. I'm using this album, My French Country, as an example because it has the very large spine. And the nice thing about using this hinge, it's going to help take the guesswork out of chunky embellishments, or maybe chunky and no chunky embellishment. Let me show you. So when I made this album, I always start, and this is one thing I want to show you, it's hard to see. I don't take my hinges out over my pieces that are moving pieces, because I've had to pull out pages before, and I want to just be able to take this out as a unit. And I can do that if I don't have to tear up the rest of my book, and see, then I can use the rest of my book. When I was making this, this was part of the problem. This page, I didn't need as much room between these two elements because this had no chunky embellishments. But then when I get over here, see how chunky this is? I actually need more room because it's getting smashed. And so down the line, I could have used some more space here. But how do you take your hinge and change it from this 1/2 inch, and that's a 1/2 inch. As you can see, I could have used more. Here, I could have gotten away, as long as there's no chunky embellishments here, on this side at 1/4 inch. And this side, I need the probably 3/4 inch. So how do you make your hinge so you have a 1/4 inch here and a 3/4 inch here? And that's what I'm going to show you. I know it sounds crazy, but I've used it, and in fact, the other album that I used it on, I wished I had not sold it. She taught me into selling it because and I've got a sample to show you. So again, here, I had to go all 1/2 inch because that's how we're taught to score. We're not taught to score outside of the box, right? Because a lot of times we go by the 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and it depends on the length of our paper. But again, I could have used a lot more space. Now when you get to something not so chunky here, it's not as important, and this is the back of the book. So I want to show you this, and I'm going to start by showing you a basic one that has been partially scored, and then we're going to make it. So one thing you're going to notice is there are score lines. So it takes a few more minutes with your score lines, but I always start with a 1/4 inch, and I end with a 1/4 inch because that's what I like to have sitting on my hinge. Now, when you score, now you can see I've got my 1/2 inch hinge. Then I've made it so I have not only I've got 1, 2, 3, so about 5/8 inch in there. But now look at my hinge is even larger. See how much larger this hinge is? The reason for this is if you have a super heavy page, and I've shown in other tutorials, for instance, this is a super heavy page because of all of the interaction with it, and actually a bigger hinge in there is going to hold this a lot more sturdy. So you can actually take this from your 1/2 inch hinge to your, that's a 3/4 inch hinge, and then I can have just my back down, that's not even quite a 1/2 inch, and then we can keep folding it as such, and you can have as many hinges basically as you want. So if your book's only 3, you have your 3 hinges, then I would count my 1/4 inch, end it, and that's not quite a 1/4 inch, but now I would be able to end it anywhere I want. So I want to show you how to make the new adjustable hinge system. And The hinge system is not new. It's been around. It's just the adjustable part of it, which I'm going to show you to make today. It is mine and it is exclusive. So we're going to start with our usual piece of paper that's 12 inches. I have a page to show you how it sits on, and it's going to sit on just like any regular page will sit on a hinge, except for if this isn't tall enough, just so you know. We're going to start by scoring. So you can write these down, and this is free of use. You can use it, and I hope you use it, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I've been enjoying using it, because it's made such a difference. Like I said, I've got to do some covering up here. I can't even cover up with that because that would get me in trouble. I'm going to cover this up as much as possible. You're going to see it there. This is, like I said, a project that is kind of top secret. It's for our Ohio retreat in August. But you see the different hinges. I was able to change the sizing as I needed according to the bulkiness and the embellishing of the pages that I was doing. So we're going to start and score it like I always do, at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. So that starts me at my 1/4 inch for the beginning. Now, depending on how many hinges, usually I end at 8 and 8 1/4. That's what I end it with. But on this, you don't have to. You can keep going, and then you'll cut it where you need to cut it. So that's what I'm going to show you today, is how we're going to cut it where you need it to be cut, and you're going to love it. Even though I start here with my 1/4 inch, I'm still going to now score it at 3/8 inch so that it all matches. This does take a while, and I'm not going to give you the measurements now because you're just going to score 1/8 inch all the way down. Actually, we're going to go, let's go to 9 1/2. Keep scoring 1/8 inch. 3. So one thing you'll notice, 1, 2, 3, 4 to keep in mind. 4 score lines equals 1/2 inch. So that is one way to figure out how big of a gusset that you want. So every 4 is 1/2 inch. Every 6 is 3/4 inch. And of course 8 will equal 1 inch. Now you have choices. You're going to be able to adjust this to your needs. And like I said, it takes a few more minutes, but it is so worth it, because here's the other thing. We all in crafting have those moments when we're sitting here, we want to make something. You know that urge? I want to sit down. I want to make something. What do we make? Well, you can go ahead and cut yourself if you know what album sizes. Now, my album sizes generally are, I go whole numbers, 6x6, 8x8, 7x7, 7x9. You can cut your sheets of cardstock for your hinge sizes, and you can have them pre-scored. Maybe you're going to go camping. I'm going to stop at 9 1/2. So maybe you're going camping and you won't have quite all your tools. Then you can have some of this pre-scored and put into your book, your crafting suitcase, whatever you take with you. And you can pull one of these out now and you've got a ready hinge. You can do it on a full 12x12 sheet of paper, ladies. Take your 12x12, score it, set these away. When you want a hinge, you're going to pull it out. That's all there is to it. Like I said, I start with 1/4 inch. So 1/4 inch is 2 score lines. So there's 1 score line. There's 2 score lines. The next one, number 3, is where I'm going to fold it. Don't worry about when you burnish. It's not going to take your take those out. And then, if you see that you didn't burnish far enough, which I did not, then you're just going to move up 1, because that gets tucked underneath. And you'll see that when we put it together. Also, I'm not really worried if it's not perfectly on that score line. Because of the way that this is all set, we're going to have texture throughout. So we want to start now. We've got our 1/4 inch. Fold it over to the back. If you follow my tutorials, then you know what I'm talking about when we wrap it, and you'll see. Now, I'm going to start, because in the beginning I probably only want 1/2 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to count to 4. Score lines. Just like we normally would. Burnish. Don't be afraid to burnish. Now, by grabbing this, I'm going to fold back on that where I've already done my 1/4 inch and fold this way. It's going to just pick it up normally because see, you've measured there. Now, the thing about this is we can go ahead, and I'm going to do that for the video. I'm going to go ahead and add my score tape so that you can see this come together as we go. And I need my 3/8 of an inch. Now what I'm doing, I'm playing through my head is my French country album that I made and the different sizes that I would need if I was making that album. See, I'm burnishing. I'm not worried because it's not going to affect that because it's nice and sturdy and it's going to go inside of our booklet. Like I said, on the French country, so I just had a little envelope. I don't really need the full 1/2 inch gusset. And I have the hiccups now, I'm sorry. So you can decide. I can count 1, 2, 3 right there. Push it forward a little bit and we'll get it right on that score line. I'm going to, actually that was not far enough. Sorry, you have to do 2 of them. So then we're going to do another one. This is going to help bring my hinge up so when I pinch it, I'm just softening the fibers. And see, don't be afraid to soften your fibers. There we go. By breaking them. Okay. Now, when I pick this up, I still want my 1/4 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it'll be a lot easier to bend. Because I've made my mark there. We're going to bend it back and bend it back. Now we have an even hinge. And I'm going to add my score tape to part of it. There we go. But I thought we turned the volume down here. There we go. And then you also have that texture in between. Now, I'm going with the bigger page. 2, 3, 4. So I actually want almost a 3/4 inch hinge. Bend it there. That gives me the, there we go. I mean, I want a gusset here that's much better, bigger. And let's see, I'm going to go with about a 5/8 of an inch hinge. My hinge is going to be a little bit taller, see? It's just about, it's just an 1/8 of an inch taller. Heavy page, lots of embellishments. So I want a little more, I want my page to sit down there just a little bit more and have that come up a little bit more. It'll give it a little bit more strength. Now for some of you, you're going to absolutely love this because you know when you make heavy pages or heavily embellished pages, you end up with an alligator looking album, and you don't want that alligator mouth. And I make my pages first, so you can see how that hinge is longer. It's not going to matter. It just means that your page now will sit down further. Your pages will all be the same. You just have more hinge up into your page where it matters. See, it's not just hanging on to this little tiny hinge. Okay, so there's 3. See, I've already gotten 3 out of this. So now I'm going to determine, okay, wow, thinking back, I'm going to have a big waterfall. Maybe you want to put metal handles, metal embellishments. So let's go ahead and let's go with the bigger gusset. Yeah. So we're going to go a little bit bigger, and then our hinge, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go with 5 of these to make it 5/8. There's where I want my hinge to be. This is one thing that I've played with a lot, because your hinges, your gussets do not have to be the same size. Now this actually could handle like another one here because of how wide I made it. Whoops. But this makes it so much more convenient to really customize your hinge. Now, if I wanted to stop with 4 pages, so you can see this one's even a little bit bigger. You don't want to make your hinges any smaller really, but I have a much wider gusset here. This one's 1/8 of an inch smaller than this one, and this one is actually 2/8 of an inch smaller. So now when I put, see how this page is a nice bulky page, but it's being smashed. So here, you know, you go to do this beautiful artwork or different elements like this, only to have them smashed is really upsetting. And on this album, I did take off some of the flowers in the beginning because I couldn't have the bulkiness. In fact, this stuff was too much, especially when I added both of them, because they're really getting smashed in there. No more. This is going to fix it. So I could stop at 4. Now, if I wanted to do 5, of course, I needed to score all the way down. But I'm going to go ahead and just end this, because I know that you guys probably already have the idea. But I need to score it there. And then I need to score 2 more, or burnish 2 more. Because I like to start with the quarter and end with a quarter, because that's how I lay it on, or sit it. That is how I sit my hinge on my book when we bend this back. But I need to make sure I leave that big enough. So actually you can readjust everything. You don't even have to have that 1/4 inch now if you're going to, there we go, if you need this for space. So before I would have to end it at a 1/4 inch because that's where I scored. But now I can end it, see, anywhere I want. So if I want a 1/4 inch to sit here, but I don't want a 1/4 inch here, maybe I want to put this big flower. Now I'm going to have space because, see, it's going to go back and forth, back and forth. Now what I do when I'm done, just lay your hinges flat. I'm just going to add. I'm not going to go all the way over the back. Usually I would fill this whole back up with score tape. And I fold it over. Of course, everything else will get covered. I just don't want to waste it. Whoops. I need that 1/4 inch because I like to have that sitting on my book. And I messed it up when I There we go. But you know what? It's okay that I messed it up because of my 1/8 of an inch hinges scoring. It's okay that it got messed up because I was able to fix it immediately because there's already score marks there. So it didn't change it and make it look wrinkled or cracked up or anything. And now I have a very adjustable hinge system that is usable in my projects because I don't like just one hinge size. I've been looking for a way to figure this out, and I'm so happy I did. I'm sure if someone else did, I haven't seen it, but it's a great idea. As far as I know, this is my idea, and I could not wait to share it with everybody. So I hope you use this, especially if you're going to make huge albums. Some of you know I make 11 by 11 albums. I've done a tutorial on it in our Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations group, and this would have been perfect because when you make an 11 by 11 album, the pages are extremely heavy, and this little 1/2 inch hinge, I'm sorry, it is not enough. And I did show in that group we made it bigger. And 1/2 inch is not enough for a gusset. Plus, on an 11 by 11 album, you may only want 4. You can stop this hinge system where you want that way. Nice big hinge here, so you can see the different sizes and how they graduate up. Just sit your big heavy page on there. And there you go, ladies. No more having to have one size hinge because one size hinge does not fit them all. So I hope you enjoy using this. If you have any questions, let me know and I can help you, but I will be using it on all my tutorials so you guys can get more and more ideas how to use this. We'll be using it in the goodness, I'm so sorry about I can't talk today. I'll be using it in our Ohio album that we're doing for the Ohio retreat. Thanks for watching, and I'm so happy to debut this with you today and show you how easy and fun it is to now fully customize your album to the page sizes that you need. So see, there's the quarter. So how nice. I would have loved to have been able to make. Now you can see what I mean by making this size 1/2 of an inch. Then I could have made this size the inch or the 3/4 of an inch, and then my ribbon here that I made out of paper would not have been so smashed. So for instance, I'm just going to show you the bottom because I've already sneak peeked this flower, this poinsettia. It's not in the least bit smashed from being closed in this book, because I did use a 1 inch in between those pages to keep that poinsettia from being smashed. And then this really heavy page would have really benefited from fitting on a bigger hinge, just because there's a lot more action and thickness to this page. So thank you guys for stopping by and watching, and let me know if you use it, if you like it, and it is yours free to use and enjoy and share. So thank you, everybody. See you in the next video.